Hi friends, I'm Chelsea and I'm here to talk all things series. So with this being my first year on BookTube, this is my first time doing end of year content, which I know everyone loves to watch and loves to film. And so I have a couple end of year type videos coming out over the next week or so as we get to the end of this year. So this video is all about the series that I either started or completed or did not finish this year. I have a lot of book series that I'm in the middle of, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to focus on the series that were started or finished in 2024. I'm going to go through all the different series that I'm currently in the middle of and that I do plan on continuing. I'm going to be exposing myself a bit here because there's a lot. I would like to maybe try to catch up on some of these in 2025 and not start a ton of new series without finishing some other ones first, but that never really goes as planned. I'm currently in the middle of 30 book series. Yes, I know. But as far as book series that I started this year, I started 22 this year. But that also includes the ones that I finished and did not finish. I'm going to go through one by one all of the series that I started this year that I am not caught up on and that I want to finish. So first of all, at the beginning of this year, I read Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. And so I didn't think this was a series actually, but apparently there's like a sequel novella that came out. I don't know if that really counts because it doesn't really move the story forward a whole lot, but it is a novella and there might be another full-length novel coming out. I actually don't know, but I do want to read that. I wasn't obsessed with Sorcery of Thorns, but I enjoyed it enough and I would like to read the novella. Also, I'm not really going to give you synopsis on any of these books. I'm just literally going through all of these series. This next one is more of an interconnected standalone situation, but I'm still going to count it as series. This is the Girl Meets Duke series. I read The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. It's like historical romance, and I think each book features a different girl in this like friend group. I really liked the first book, a little spicy, which I was not expecting, but I really enjoyed it. So I do want to read more of the books in this interconnected standalone series. So the next one I'm kind of on the fence about. I've mentioned it before, so this kind of shows up on my list of series I want to continue and series I don't want to continue at the same time somehow. I'm still undecided, but I did start the Crescent City series this year. I read House of Earth and Blood and House of Sky and Breath, and the third book, House of Flame and Shadow, came out this year, which I have not read. I definitely am not prioritizing it if I do get to it, but I still am kind of curious. So that one is kind of somewhere in the middle. Next up, I started Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, which I think is an 8-book series. And I think you should read them in order. I don't really know much about it, but I mean, they're like middle grade classics pretty much. And I really loved Anne of Green Gables. And so definitely want to read more of the books. I don't know if I'll read all 8 books in the series, but I own the second book. So I'll definitely get to that. And then if I like it, I will continue because I've heard that people really love this series. Okay, so I started the Elements of Cadence duology, which is by Rebecca Ross. A River Enchanted is the first book. I really liked that. And I want to read the second book, A Fire Endless, and it's a duology, so it should be, pretty quick to just kind of knock that second book out. It's already been a while since I've read the first book and I don't remember everything, so I should probably get to that sooner than later, but here we are, still haven't read the second book. Okay, next we have the Regency Fairy Tales series. That first book is Half a Soul, which I didn't love as much as I was expecting to love, but I still did enjoy it. And they're pretty short, easy to read books, so I think I would like to check out some of the other books in the series. Let's see, there are 3 full-length novels and 2 novellas, and maybe more coming out, I don't know. It's kind of like Emily Wilde meets Bridgerton kind of vibes, and I liked it. So I'll probably read the others at some point. This is me not really committing very well to continuing these series, but just knowing I do have the intention of getting to them at some point. So if any of these are like your favorite, maybe just kind of push me to continue/finish. That would be great. Okay, next I have What the River Knows, the duology. I think that's just, oh, it's called Secrets of the Nile duology. I loved the first book, and the second book just came out last month, I think. I would love to get to that one sooner than later. That's kind of on my more in the near future priority list. I don't own the second book though. Maybe I will get it for Christmas or buy it if I don't. So definitely want to get to that soon. And then this one you won't be surprised by because I talk about it like every video. That is The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. So I've read The Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbringer. I'm still working through Rhythm of War. I'm like 60% through. I put it down because it was kind of a lot. I am hoping to finish that before this year ends because, as we know, Wind and Truth back there, that came out, and I'd love to get to that sometime in early 2025. The fifth book is the end of the first set of books, I guess, and then there's going to be a whole other set that are going to be connected but somewhat different. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if I'll be reading those. I might pick it up to see, but I'm for sure committing to finishing this, what's the word for 5 books in a series? I don't know. The first 5 books. I also started the Amina al-Sarafi trilogy. Okay, yeah, I think it's just called Amina al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I read the first book that I think it came out this year or last year, so I don't think any of the other books are out yet, but I would like to read the rest of the books in the trilogy. I kind of went in a direction that I wasn't expecting or loving towards the end of the book, but overall I did really like it and think it's just kind of like a fun, lighthearted, funny pirate fantasy story, so definitely want to keep reading that. And then another one is The Shadow of the Leviathan trilogy, I think a trilogy. First book was The Tainted Cup, which book 2 has been loving. I really enjoyed the first book. I think the second book comes out in a couple months, so definitely want to check that out. And yeah, just continue that series as it comes out. Next we have the Serafina series, which I think is 4 books. They're like middle grade mystery, fantasy, historical. I read the first book. The second book is on my December TBR, which I may not get to, we'll see, but I do want to keep reading those books. They're pretty quick and easy to read as well. Okay, this one I was sure I wanted to keep reading, and then I read a book in the series this month, and now I'm not sure. That is the Dream Harbor series by Laurie Gilmore. These are like Gilmore Girls inspired, cozy, spicy romances, and so I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and I just finished recently The Christmas Tree Farm. They were both like 3-star reads, maybe slightly lower. I'm not obsessed with them. I could take or leave them, but they are fun, quick, easy reads. So I'm not like itching to read more of her books, but also I might. I think one of them is The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and then there's maybe 2 others coming out. They're really short, easy to read, but it's not like my top favorite like romance books by any means. Okay, next is a book I really did like that I read recently, and that is The Ruinous Love trilogy by Bryn Weaver. Butcher and Blackbird is the first book. I would like to read the second book, Leather and Lark, which is already out, and then I think the third book comes out next year, so would like to continue with that. And then this one might surprise you based on my review of the book, but I think I do want to continue the series. So this is the Alex Stern trilogy, I guess, or there might be more books by Leigh Bardugo. So book 1 is Ninth House, book 2 is Hellbent, and I don't think there's any other books out. I thought it was going to be a duology, but apparently there's more books. I didn't love Ninth House as much as I wanted to or thought I would, but the way it ended made me very curious about the direction of the second book, so I think I do want to pick it up and see if I will like the second book more. And then the last 2 in this category are 2 books that I just finished actually. Both of them are the start of a series, and I really like them both and want to keep reading more. So the first one is Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison, and this is another interconnected standalone situation, I think, since it's like romances, so not necessarily a series to be read in order, but I really liked Love Light Farms and I want to read more of her books. Again, kind of the cozy small town vibes. I liked this more than the Laurie Gilmore books, so if you're looking for that feel, maybe check out the Love Light Farms books. And then the other one that I want to read more of is the Tomes and Tea trilogy, or maybe there's more. That is Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. Finished it last night, really enjoyed it, and I think the second book is out, and again there's going to be maybe 1, maybe 2 more books. Just kind of fun, cozy fantasy with a little more action, little higher stakes, but still kind of got that cozy feel. So yeah, those are all the series that I started this year that I want to continue with. If you want me to do a separate video of all the series I'm in the middle of, because like I said, there's some that I started started a couple years ago that I still haven't continued, let me know, because that's a whole other video pretty much. So the next category here is series that I started this year and finished, or ones that I am up to date with. And there's only a couple of those. I'm proud of myself though. I have finished 7 and potentially 8 series this year. I'm counting one because I'm pretty positive I'm going to be finishing that book this month. So yes, 8 series completed this year, and most of them were series that I started and finished this year. So I'm proud of myself for that, even though I'm still in the middle of a lot of series. So I'll just tell you the 2 that I'm caught up on, and then I'll tell you all the series that I have finished this year. So I am caught up on ACOTAR, Court of Thorns and Roses. I read A Court of Silver Flames in January, and I know there's going to be a lot more books coming out, some novellas maybe, and I do want to keep reading those. So I'm up to date for now. The other one I'm up to date on is the Emily Wilde trilogy by Heather Fawcett. You know, I've talked about these books a lot. I've read the first 2 books, and the second book comes out early next year. So I'm planning to read that as soon as it comes out. So then I think I will have finished that series by that point. The rest of these, like I said, are series that I started and finished this year. A lot of these were really good, and most of them are duologies, but I do have a couple trilogies. So first I'll mention Six of Crows, another one I talk about a lot. This is a duology. I read both of the books pretty close together because I really loved Six of Crows and wanted to see how Crooked Kingdom would go. So definitely felt very motivated to start and finish that series in a short amount of time. Highly recommend checking that one out. It's on my winter recs list, so definitely read it if you haven't yet. And then another one that was fairly recent and also on my winter recs is The Shepherd King duology by Rachel Gillig, One Dark Window, and Two Twisted Crowns. I read those also within like a month or 2 of each other. Fun, bingeable, action-packed, easy read. Definitely recommend. Then this was from the beginning of the year. I read both of these books in January. Another one that I wanted to read really quickly and close together. This was the Letters of Enchantment duology. Everyone loves it or knows about it at least. Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. I actually liked Ruthless Vows even more, but I did love Divine Rivals too. Definitely kind of binged that little duology in January. And then another duology that is really easy to read just back to back is the Monk and Robot duology by Becky Chambers, like cozy sci-fi. They're both really short, like 100 or 200 pages tops. Really short and easy to read back to back. I think I read those in May or something. And then the last duology is the Earthseed duology by Octavia E. Butler. I didn't really even know it was a duology until I read the first book, and then I realized there was a second book, and so I read both of those fairly close together as well. It's definitely kind of heavy, dystopian, sci-fi, a little depressing, but I thought it was really well done. And then the last 2 are No, actually I have 3 more and they're trilogies. One of them is the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber, another booktube darling. I think I've read Once Upon a Broken Heart in April or May, and then I read the second and the third book within the same month, I think in July. Again, really quick, easy, bingeable, addicting reads that I read fairly close together. And then we have the Part of Your World trilogy, which is kind of like an interconnected standalone again with the romance series. I read Part of Your World in 2022, I think, and then I didn't continue the series. And then I read Yours Truly this year, and I think Just for the Summer had come out this year, so I guess that was my motivation. I had been hearing people talk about Just for the Summer, but I wanted to read the second book in the series, so I ended up finishing that series this year. Really recommend it. My favorite was Just for the Summer, so definitely recommend starting at the beginning and reading them in order. And then the last one is still pending, but I'm going to include it just to give myself that push. So that is the Beartown trilogy, another one I talk about a lot. I had also read Beartown in 2022, I think, and then I reread it this fall just to refresh my memory, and because I loved it so much. Then I read Us Against You in November, and I'm planning to read The Winners this month. So I'm counting this towards my series finish this year because I'm fairly confident that I will finish The Winners in December. So feeling fairly good about that. I would still like to finish or get up to date with more series in 2025, but I'm happy about those that I finished this year. And then this last one's going to be short because I actually have a whole video about series that I'm not planning on continuing. I'll link that in the description if you want to check that video out for more in-depth thoughts. But I actually only have one from this year that I started and I'm not continuing, if you don't count Crescent City. That one's kind of a maybe. But the one for sure from this year that I don't want to continue is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. And I've talked about this book a lot. I'm not going to go into it again, but I just didn't really love the first book, didn't connect with it a whole lot. I don't really want to continue it. I think it's a trilogy with maybe a novella or something. I'm just not invested enough to continue. But that's really it. Like I said, Crescent City could go either way. And again, if you want more in-depth thoughts on all of those series I'm not finishing, then you can watch that video. Otherwise, yeah, I think that is it for my 2024 series update. Definitely hoping to get to some of these other series that I've put on the back burner and not start as many new series. That tends to be a problem, and I just forget about old series and never finish them, even if I like the first book. If there's any of these that I mentioned that you think I should really prioritize continuing in 2025, also let me know what your kind of numbers are for your series. Did you start a lot of new series this year? Did you finish a bunch of series? Are you kind of abandoning a lot of series? Just let me know, because it's kind of fun to hear about that. And I will also have, of course, a video of my top favorite books of the year, maybe one of my least favorite books of the year. If you have any other like end of the year type videos you want from me, let me know. That is it for now. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.